Yeah, welcome back. Let's move on to some other story. Is there a real commitment on the part of government to deal with Ghana's sanitation problems? Not really. That's St. Ghana's analysis of the 2017 budget statement presented to Parliament. They say that budget that witnessed cutting expenditure on sanitation, and they'll be telling us more about it. Also, they say that government failed to show how they intend to fund the office of the special prosecutor, raising concerns about the commitment to effectively fighting corruption using the office of the special prosecutor. George Osei Pimpe is country director for St. Ghana. He joins me now in the studio with a lot more on the analysis that they've done so far. So first of all, let's find out what your analysis are in conclusion of the budget.
Okay. In conclusion, we have noted that on a general note, government has increased allocation to many of the accountable institutions like SHRAJ, Parliament, and judicial services. We have also noted that those increments have gone largely into goods and services, which are very, very positive in terms of now capacitating all of these institutions to be able to undertake their core mandate.
Right.
But there are some concerns. There are concerns in terms of clarity on many of the issues. Some of the programs we do not see clearly how government intends to fund them. We also have concerns about reduced allocation for purposes of investment, for purposes of investment, and also we also see an increasing trend that we are relying so much on our donor communities to fund our investment. These are some of the things that have come out of the budget.
Okay, so what's going to happen to this? What did you call what do you call what you did? Is it just an analysis or some kind of a research or some kind of a survey?
It's an analysis of the budget. Okay. And we focused largely on anti-corruption institutions. We focus on the social protection programs, child rights programs, then agriculture, education, and then health sectors. We selectively looked at these areas because we are interested in how the budget would address inequality in Ghana. If you may recall, the problem of poverty, has seen a lot of attention. So since the 1990s, we have succeeded in reducing poverty. But increasingly, at the time that we are reducing poverty, inequality is increasing. So we are interested in interventions that the budget proposes to, resolve problem with inequality.
And you're not impressed, are you?
We are partly impressed because, for example, if you take the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, they have seen that allocation increasing to the tune of over 400%.
Which is a good thing.
Which is a very, very good thing. And even what is even more better about it is the fact that 82% of the ministry's budget is going into goods and services, meaning that now they will be able to undertake a lot more interventions to address the problem of inequality. However, what we have noticed is that the ministry has expanded mandate. Now it is in charge of coordinating all social protection programs. And so you would expect, on the face value, you would think that the increment is corresponding to the mandate that they've been given. But per some calculations, for example, we know that LEAP require about 80 million cedis this year alone. Already, LEAP is not targeting enough people, because if you take every eight poor household, LEAP is only targeting 1 out of them. Okay. So it means that we haven't done so much with LEAP, but it has a lot of potential. So on one hand, it is good that government is continuing with LEAP and government is making available resources for it, but we need to move at a faster rate, especially if the idea of SDG is not to leave everybody behind.
Let's finally talk about education. A lot of people had concerns initially, even even when the budget was read. Just that day, there were a lot of concerns about where we're going to get the money to fund it. It's one of the areas that you found that you're not impressed about. So you tell us about what you. Already people have said that look, we're not clear about where you're getting the money. What will be the call to action by St. Ghana, based on all that your analysis of the budget?
At least some clarity has come out in terms of the first term.
Okay.
The questions are around the sustainability of the initiative, which is a good and a laudable one. So, for example, 4 million, 32% of GOG's allocation to the sector is going into the program. And then 26% or so, about approximately 27% of ABF is going to be used to support that. We have problem with price volatility of oil, oil commodity. We have problem with infrastructure in the education sector. Education sector allocation for, allocation for education sector investment has gone down, even though goods and services have gone up. So in other words, one thing that you would expect is that in as much as the free SHS is a good intervention, the likely and short-term impact is the fact that we are going to have so many people who hitherto didn't have access to secondary education. So in effect, the question is that to what extent are we investing in investment to correspond with the expected increase in enrollment? Do we expect to have overcrowding in the schools or what? Are we also learning some lessons from, for example, some past interventions? Let's look at capitation grant, for example.
Right.
One of the things that capitation grant succeeded in doing was to take care of the cost for basic education. But we never thought about investment in learning and teaching materials. And you do not expect that by just putting people in school without investing in learning and teaching materials, then quality education is assured. I mean, if I may quote a learned guy from Professor Patrick Luamba from Tanzania, Zambia, he said that we may be promoting free education that is free of knowledge. Is that what we want to produce? We want to promote free education that brings quality. Okay. And so you would expect that you match it with investment.
So what is the call of action?
The call of action is that
exactly,
government cannot, in the education sector, for example, we do not have to rely on donors to fund investment, capital investment.
Okay.
Government will have to take it as a responsibility so that as much as we are increasing investment in goods and services, we do same for investment in the capital side of it so that we are providing and expanding existing facilities, making sure that we have laboratories and promoting science education. One of the things that we need to alert our minds to is that even though as a policy intent, the government talks about vocational, technical, and then agricultural education. But if you read the budget, where it mentions free school fees or free SHS, the next line talks about technical and vocational education, but it doesn't add that component. So there's lack of clarity there. We need government to come clear on that. In as much as we also make sure that whatever resources we are putting into social protection, education, agriculture, we get the best out of it.
Okay, thank you very much for passing through. That is the Send Ghana's position on the budget so far. George Osei-Pimpe is country director of Send Ghana. They have been very vocal on the budget and very vocal on how citizens can be a part of the budget, or the voice or the thoughts of citizens will be incorporated in the budget. Thank you once again for coming through. Well, let's do some politics as we begin to make way for sports on the polls, because the Progressive People's Party say it is ready to join forces with individuals and other political parties to become the third credible political force in the country. Director of Policy Kofi Sian said the party has already started receiving support from people who have shown interest for what they describe as the new movement.
That indeed is not a small group of people who belong to the PPP that is interested in that. And that is the only way they will come after us and decide to support what is it that we want. Otherwise, they won't change all right, but that change they are looking for doesn't have the beneficiary of that change. So they go
to say that the PPP doesn't have what it takes to be that strong third force we are looking for.
We have, to a certain extent. What we need is to build that critical mass. It's obvious that to win elections in this country, you need not less than 5 million votes. Now, where are these people to sustain that change agenda? Or if you like, to demonstrate that they are even interested in what is it that we want. Ghanaians want that change to happen, but somehow they think it will happen by default, by just alternating power between NPP and NDC. But it's clear that that change will never come. So for those who wish that that change should come, they shouldn't continuously offer their vote and support to the alternatives that they've been given to that don't see the change. So we are just going to be wallowing in perpetuity, and we'll recycle political parties and personalities, and nothing will change. And it's clear in this particular situation we find ourselves. Until we do those things, we are continuously disappointing the people, and that change they are looking for, yearning for, is not coming.
Joining me in the studio right now is the chairman of the PPP, Alute Bro Hammond. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. You're welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting the Progressive People's Party.
You're welcome. Are we already seeing a new party emerging from the Progressive People's Party? What kind of alliance are we talking about?
Well, all of it will depend on the stakeholders.
Okay.
This effort is to open it up for like-minded individuals, like-minded political parties, like-minded pressure groups to come together, and at the table we will determine whether a measure will evolve into a new party or an alliance or a collaborative
It sounds very
effort.
ambiguous to me, and I mean, we've known people. I mean, if you look at the history, for instance, of your founder, we know that he was with the CPP, now he formed the PPP. So if you're talking, if the PPP is talking about alliance, we know that the CPP has been talking about alliances, you know, with the PNC, etc. Who are you looking at? Is it just a blank check, or you've got a list? I mean, everybody would expect that you've got a list some way, somehow.
Well, we're looking at like-minded people. We do know, or like if you believe that our young future leaders should have free and compulsory education from kindergarten through to the senior secondary school level, we're thinking
That sounds like NPP to me. Are you looking to bring up on board the NPP?
There's a difference. I'm surprised.
I don't say it is. I said it sounds like.
It doesn't sound like
it.
Because
sound
no,
like
it doesn't sound like it.
Okay.
Because if you eliminate the primary and the kindergarten from the picture that the NPP has presented, there's a vast difference in our commitment. We are committed to separating the Attorney General from the Minister of Justice. Yet that is not the plan on the ground with the NPP. Okay. We are also interested in seeing that corruption is brought to the barest minimum by separating the legislature from the executive. As we speak now, all of the ministers, or 50%, as the Constitution demands, have been picked from. But that is where we need a leader who will be vocal about amending the Constitution.
Amending the Constitution. That sounds like a no party.
How many times have we heard President Akufo-Addo talk about amending the Constitution so that he can pick his sector ministers from the vast majority of competent Ghanaians around the world?
Okay, so you're basically ruling out NPP. Which parties? Please be specific with us so we can have an idea.
NPP. There are like-minded men and women in NPP that may come and join this alternative.
I'm a bit confused, and I believe viewers are. What are you looking for?
If you are,
help me. Help me to understand.
Okay.
What are you looking for? Individuals or parties?
Like-minded individuals, like-minded political parties, like-minded pressure groups, like-minded Ghanaians. So if you believe that you're thinking as we are thinking, then you are a like-minded person that ought to be interested in this proposition.
Okay.
To come join us so that we can form an alternative to the NPP and NDC.
What we have done right now is to give you a platform for you to tell the people out there. So this is a nice platform for you to tell the people out there, the people that you're calling on. What exactly is the message you're telling them, apart from telling them that if you think like us, come on board? And exactly who are you targeting? That's the answer I'm not getting.
Well, I believe, you know, who exactly, I keep repeating myself that we're looking for like-minded. So obviously you don't accept like-minded
no,
citizens
I accept, but I as a citizen of Ghana, I as a citizen of Ghana, and like everybody else who's watching us, want to know specifics. When we watch TV and we listen to politicians like you, we want specifics. So give us some specifics.
I believe I am being very specific. we have an agenda for change.
Okay.
And we're looking for individuals and political parties that believe in that agenda.
Okay.
So if you find yourself believing in that agenda, you are one of us.
So what's the form? What's the form of this alliance? How is it going to take? Once I'm interested and I approach the PPP, then what? That's it?
No, that's not it.
Okay.
We are looking to broaden it and sit down at the table without any preconditions to work at how we get to 2020. We don't want to wait till 2020 before we start putting the like-minded people together. We would rather do that now, sit down and decide whether we're going to go in as one party, we're going to go in as an alliance. Different forms of collaborative efforts persist in the world.
Okay. Have you got
the last time we saw the Lib Dems collaborating with the Conservatives in the United Kingdom. Okay. That's a model that we can look at if the majority of us as like-minded people believe that that is the best way to gain power from the duopoly that the MPP and NDC have occupied in this country for the last 24 years.
What's the timeline?
Oh, the timeline is at best within the next 3-4 months. We need to be able to have a team that will sit down and begin to look at how we shape ourselves and compete with the MPP and NDC.
I see. Well, I don't know how the PPP intends to do this, but are you looking to bring on, say, PNC and all of these one-man political parties, if you like if you're Donkos party, are you looking to? Have you reached out to them?
Well, we are reaching out to them. Prior to the 2016 election, we had an arrangement with the NDP. We had an arrangement with the PNC.
Okay.
We had other conversations going on that did not see the light of day.
Okay.
That hasn't stopped. We will continue that effort, and we believe that as aggressive as we are with our efforts, some results will be yielded. You have to ensure that you encourage us, because look, this is a multi-party democracy we have inherited, and look at the parliament we have today. There's only 2 political parties there, and the 2 political parties have practically behaved the same way. Their policies have not been any different.
That's what you keep telling the people of Ghana. But when we go to the polls, when we go into an election, the PPP doesn't really, impress us so much. So is that the reason why you're bringing all of this? And you've already indicated that you reached out to NDP and the PNC. What were the responses from them?
Well,
is it likely that they will join you?
You saw what happened in the 2016. We were able to sign agreements with them. So at least that's
a start.
That's a movement forward, and we believe that we will build upon it going forward. This is the time to get us together, to get like-minded people together, and not wait till the election year, which practically these things have become. Many of these political parties, will only surface
during elections.
During the election.
Now, what we know about these parties that you've mentioned, I mean, which other parties, by the way, have you reached out to?
Well, it's a question of now getting the mass movement going.
Yeah, but I want to know which other parties. You've spoken about the NDP and the PNC.
Yeah, we've also spoken to CPP and other interested groups. But we want to build upon it. We want to solidify it.
Okay, so CPP, NDP, and PNC, at least, if we're just dealing with these 3 groups, we know that they are, they are parties that have got strong people leading them. What's going to happen to your flag bearer, Dr. Papakwesi Indum, if you're supposed to, assuming that all of these 3 groups agree to form an alliance with you, who is going to be the flag bearer? Well, already we know that there are frictions between the CPP and your because that was where he came from, and there were issues, obviously. That's why he formed his own party. How are you going to work it? I mean, how is it going to work out?
That is if you don't believe that this like-minded people, political parties, when we sit down at the table, that we can arrive at an amicable settlement as to who eventually would lead,
the party. So I'm looking at Dr. Indum as against Nana Konadu Rawlings.
Well,
and probably
the formation of the unified alliance will do it.
I see.
And I believe strongly that we will cross that bridge when we get there. If we've managed to get an alliance with the NDP and the PNC.
Oh, have you got the alliance already?
Well, we did in 2016. I'm sure you were privy to that.
But is that something that's still running?
It's still running that we need to build upon.
So the PPP already has an alliance with the NDP and the PNC and the CPP. Is that correct?
The alliance had an end period at the end of the election 8.
So it's off for now.
Yes.
And you're looking forward to them
build
coming
upon
back.
Yes.
And looking into 2020.
And looking into 2020, so we can go as a strong team. That is what the Ghanaian voter is looking forward to.
Okay.
A strong alternative political movement to the NPP and the NDC, and that is what we want to offer the people of Ghana.
Okay, thank you very much for passing through, Mr. Alate. Brew Hammond, he is chairman of the PPP. Well, Ghana's aim to improve sanitation and stop open defecation may never be realized due to the high level of taxes on sanitary ware, especially water closet. This warning is coming from the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. Currently, Ghana ranks second to Wharton, South Sudan, when it comes to open defecation, which cost the nation some $290 million each year. Speaking to Joy News, the Executive Secretary of the Importers Association, Samson Asaki, explains that the cost of improved sanitation is still beyond the reach of many Ghanaians due to high taxes put on.
We want to appeal to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana on those who bring in building materials. When you get money, you would like to buy a piece of land. You would like to put up your own home so that you'll be proud about it, or even a decent room where you and your wife and your children can also live. Their tax is about 35% and 20% import duty. Those who bring building materials, i.e. mosquitoes nets, they move them from 0% to like 10 and 20%. Mosquitoes net. Even the WHO want to eradicate malaria in the country because the windows nets, that mosquito windows net that we used to put in our windows, from Accra to my hometown in Kusanaba, in Boku, everybody's building. The masses are building. It's not everybody that can afford to buy an estate, of course, yes. So if real estate taxes were given tax relief, it's the elite who can afford to buy an estate. You and I probably, I don't know, but I think that we prefer buying a land of 5,000, you see an advert in your network that is, or 2,000 or 10,000 or 20,000, so that you can also get something small to put up your own room. When you put up a room, you want to put a decent louver blade into your window. You would want a WC